What's up guys, Zach here from PremiumBeat.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about gear. What's the best stuff to buy and what can actually make you the money back that it costs to invest in said gear. I'm gonna be talking about the kit that I've built over the last few years and the best pieces of equipment that I've purchased that have actually doubled and tripled and quadrupled their original investment. Okay, first thing is cameras, camera bodies. What do you get? Panasonic, Canon, Blackmagic, Sigma now. They're on the market. Actually, I don't have a recommendation for cameras and cameras to pick up as far as which cameras will make you more money. Really, client usually doesn't care too much about the camera that you're shooting on. Sometimes you might get the client who's like, oh, do you guys shoot on like a Red or an RE Alexa? And in that case, I mean, the money that you would spend in that is ridiculous. I don't recommend buying a big 4K, 6K, 8K. I think they go up to like 16K. Regardless, they won't really make you a lot of money back at the beginning unless you have really good connections and you can rent it out to different shoots. But when it comes to, let's say, the more consumer sized camera, the mirrorless cameras that are around under $5,000, if you've picked one up within the last few years, chances are it'll have all the bells and whistles that you need, which is 4K, more importantly 1080, slow motion capabilities at 1080, and then you can put interchangeable lenses on it. Outside of that, you're really looking at a great ballpark if you invest in a Canon, Sony, or Panasonic camera that came out within the last year, or Blackmagic for that matter. So cameras aside, let's get into the fun stuff, which is lenses. Now, lenses are a really interesting beast to sink into because there's so many different options. They go anywhere from like, low end $100 to high end $15,000. So what is a good middle ground for you to begin? My favorite lens, the one that I absolutely love, I use all the time, is the telephoto 70-200 lens. Now this is the Canon 70-200, which is probably my favorite lens on my kit. Now, brand aside, it doesn't have to be Canon, it could be Sony. I think Panasonic has one and Sigma has theirs as well. Brand aside, it's actually the function and capability. I have a 70-200 f2.8 with image stabilization. Those sort of specs are pretty important when it comes to this glass. First off, because when you're shooting on a longer lens, you'll want that image stabilization. For me, I shoot handheld on a telephoto a lot, and if I shoot that at slow motion, you're able to get some really good stuff, and with the built-in stabilizer on the glass, it just looks creamy, buttery, smooth. And I have this at an f2.8. It's a little bit more expensive for those extra f-stops, but it goes a long way if you're shooting something in lower light. Now, the reason why this focal length sort of conquers and triumphs is mostly because of what it can do. If you're, let's say, getting into the biz to make some monies, you're gonna realize that some of the most lucrative jobs are event videos, corporate gigs, interviews, and shooting weddings. Now, with all of that, you can shoot on a telephoto lens. The reason why this is so dynamite for those shoots is because you can stay a safe distance away from all of the action while still capturing the most beautiful stuff. You can literally set yourself up at a great vantage point and just find the right coverage. You're also staying distant from your subject matter so that they feel a little bit more comfortable in candid moments. So let's say someone's laughing or perhaps they're even crying. Get in that little sniper mode, shooting it into like 200 mil, like super telephoto. You're able to like capture that moment without invading people's space and getting that really great moment. Let's say you're not doing any type of event footage. It's really great for like shooting portraits or shooting like more cinematic stuff as well, because you're getting a nice broken up background from your subject matter in the foreground. And a lot of TV, film, and cinema actually uses a longer telephoto-esque lens for their shoots. So you're gonna be able to get that parallel cinematics type look all off of one lens. Now the price tag of this is a little bit more expensive, but again, this lens itself, like, it's still making me money. It's still doubling, tripling, quadrupling its original investment like once a week. So if you're looking at one lens to pick up for doing like event footage and just like being like a moneymaker, this I would actually say is the one. This is the lens. But I know you guys are like, Zach, but that's a really tight lens. Like, what happens if I want to shoot something wider? Well, there's obviously wide angle lenses. Personally, I have the Sony 16-35 f2.8 G Master, which you guys are probably like, Zach, that's a really expensive lens. It is. It's a crazy expensive lens, and I only invested in this because I knew I was going to use it all the time for these types of videos. But Do you need to invest, I think it's like $3,000 into this? No, you guys can actually pick up like an f4, which is like a fraction of the price, and you don't even have to get a Sony or Canon wide angle. You could get something like, I think it's a Tamron, which is much more affordable and gives you that same wide angle aspect. The only thing you might be short of is, let's say, something like autofocus, but getting a off-brand wide angle is still super amazing, and that's sort of what I started shooting on for a lot of my videos back in the day. But having a wide angle is really great for, let's say, if you want to, again, get into event coverage and they want that nice big wide shot. It's not as versatile, personally, from my own opinion, as, let's say, a 70-200, but it does the dynamite job that it needs to, as well as you're able to, let's say, get hired onto jobs that are more specific, like, let's say, real estate videos, which can also make a lot of money. Having a wide angle on your toolkit makes spaces look really good. You can start doing photos of landscapes. You can do photos of architecture. That is fresh glacier water. Now, I do have other favorite lenses on the toolkit. For example, I have a 50mm and an 18-35. I also love the 24-70. But those two lenses, the wide angle and your long lens, are the real good money makers out of your toolkit. If you're wanting to invest in some other different focal lengths or learn a little bit more about proper focal lengths and which ones would cater to your shoot, I'll include a link into a PremiumBeat tutorial that I made a few months ago. Now let's swap over to accessories like stabilizers. Now, back in the day when I got into doing video, I invested in multiple things like a glide cam, slider, crane, tripod, and shoulder rig, all because you just had to get all those multiple accessories. And now that price tag started to ramp up as I invested in all these things, and my gear closet got very full. So what I swapped over to within the last 2 years is using a gimbal. Now, get ready to fire your arrows. I know how many people love and hate and all that stuff with gimbals, but personally, if you're wanting a piece of gear to make you some cash back, this thing is amazing for so many different reasons, but primarily because it is versatile as heck. You can literally get that tripod, that crane, that slider, that dolly, that big, wide, expansive push-in shot, all from one piece of gear. So if you're wanting to spend a little bit of cash into getting, let's say, one like stabilizer-esque thing, invest in something like a gimbal. Now, the price range goes anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Recently, I picked up the Moza Air 2, but I've been working on the DJI Ronin S, and there's a huge market of those out there. We won't sink too far into that, but if you guys are interested in looking at some selection, I'll have a couple links in the description below over gimbals. But overall, you're gonna get jobs from that piece of gear because of how many different styles of shots you can get. It's really great for all different genres of filmmaking, and a lot of them can be quite lucrative when you have this versatile Swiss Army knife on your toolkit. Now, that doesn't disregard something like a tripod. I would recommend picking up a tripod on your kit. Now, tripods can get a little bit expensive, but you can probably pick one up used or go to your local camera shop and look at which ones would work better for your camera. Looking anywhere like under like $200 and under, I've had the exact same tripod for like 8 years, 10 years. I think I've had my tripod for like almost a decade, and it's been great. Like, it's literally now just starting to finally fall apart, but it is one of the longest lasting pieces of equipment I've had ever. Now, there's a lot of audio gear out there. Now, I could recommend different recorders like the Zoom H4n, for example, but the one that I'm really going to promote is lav mics. Lav mics are super great because they are a lot more affordable in comparison to, let's say, when you get a like boom mic and you have to get all the accessories for it. If you can pick up lav mics, which I picked up mine used at a local audio shop for like around $300, which again, I know that can be a little bit expensive, but for the money that they'll recreate by you doing, let's say, something like interview shoots or event shoots, it triples the amount that you've invested in it. So don't worry about the investment of lav mics. They pay off pretty well if you do a lot of, like, let's say, testimonials. Now, testimonials can be pretty lucrative. Maybe we'll get into a future video, let me know in the comment section below, to talk a little bit about what jobs you can take to sort of make some more money. But again, lavs are really great for interviews. If you are getting into that event coverage style type stuff, they're super helpful for that. Why they are so valuable is you're getting audio that the client would never be able to get if they're shooting, let's say, on their cell phone. Your character is nice and distant from the camera. It sounds nice and clean. And as long as you know how to place it properly and record it in a good manner, you're gonna get some really crispy dynamite audio that's super duper professional and brings in them clients to give you the monies. Okay, now finally, let's swing over to another trendy piece of gear, which is drones. Having a drone on your toolkit, as much as, can be overused in the current world of filmmaking, they're very useful for a wide spectrum of jobs. And if you have one on your kit, you can literally advertise in your hiring of services that you have a drone. If you can operate and fly one, that is going to be so appealing to, let's say, a client. Now that goes anywhere from your wedding videos, your corporate videos, your interviews, and even your movies. Drones can go anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 and upward. You guys can usually probably spend between that $1,500 range and get something really good there. Personally, I just picked up the Mavic Air 2, which cost me around $2,000, and it's a phenomenal piece of gear, but you don't need something of that price or that level if you're just starting out. Something around the $1,000 range like the Mavic Air is super valuable. And if you can't access that, you can always maybe borrow a friend's or get a friend to come out to shoot with you. But having that drone in your reel, having that drone in your advertisement when you're selling to a customer, at this stage in the game, they are still a really attractive piece of gear for someone to have in their video, and not everyone has one. So you're able to get coverage that looks super crispy. And if you own one and you're able to play around with it and get really good with it, those shots are almost priceless to a client. Now I know the price tag of all of this gear that I've included within this video is probably pretty daunting and might feel like it's the budget for a Marvel film, but trust me, this is gear that is a good investment and makes its money back. And if you guys are a little scared or hesitant into making a big purchase before actually testing it out, you can always ask a friend, or you can go to a rental shop and try out the gear beforehand and see how it works for you. So hopefully that can help you guys out. If you like what I'm talking about, like what I'm babbling on about with gear, but maybe didn't have your pen and paper ready to write all this stuff down, I've included a list of all of this stuff in the description below in a PremiumBeat blog post. If you guys like the stuff that PremiumBeat's pumping out, you like me talking, or maybe some of the other creators part of this, you guys can hit that subscribe button. That would really help us out a lot, create more content. And there's some amazing stuff on our blog as well as on our YouTube page from some super incredible creators. So go check that out. But as always, I'm Zach. I mean, that is a guarantee. I will always be Zach here from PremiumBeat. I'll see you guys in another video. Keep making some great stuff. Oh, and good luck with the whole filmmaking thing. If you're getting started, it's really fun. You're gonna spend some money at the beginning, but it's all worth it. Don't worry, take a breather. You'll be good.